I'd get off for feeling genuinely sore every single time. The diva was actually just a goofball. From the honest auditor who broke me down to the Ferrari who built me back up. Every single one of these horses had a piece of the puzzle I needed to become the rider I am today. But Number 1. Dragon, the honest auditor. First on the list is Dragon, and let me just say Dragon was the most influential horse I've ever ridden, mostly because she refused to do any of the work for me. If you're intentional with Dragon, you aren't moving, period. She's what I call the honest auditor. If you want to steer, you can't just think it. You have to pull the rein, adjust your leg, and shift your seat simultaneously. If your focus drifts for even a second, she'll drop a gate. She never picked up a faster pace by accident. And she certainly wasn't going to keep one without a constant, intentional, yes, we're still doing this, from my legs. But the real struggle? The Dragon lean. She had such a strong pull on the bit that I'd find myself pitching forward, bracing with my lower back just to stay upright. I'd get off for feeling genuinely sore every single time. Then came the 3-day clinic. It was like a spotlight on every hole in my riding. We were breaking from canter, picking up the wrong leads, and then the jumps. We'd approach a fence and Dragon would just peel off, left or right. I was frustrated until I realized Dragon wasn't being difficult. She was just being a mirror. Because I was nervous, my body was saying, I hope she goes over this. And Dragon, being the seasoned pro she is, heard that uncertainty and decided, you're not sure? Cool, then we're not going. The breakthrough didn't happen because I got braver. It happened because I got more clear with my intentions. On the final mock course, I felt her start to break down to a trot right before a fence. Usually, that's where I give up. But this time, I caught it and I drove her back up to canter, held her together, and we cleared the jump. That was the moment I stopped being a passenger and started being a pilot. Number 2. Next up is Rain. And he is the definition of laid back. If Dragon was a high-stakes audit, Rain was a Sunday drive. But one where you have to keep your foot floored to the gas pedal just to stay at the speed limit. Rain is a smaller guy and definitely on the colder side. He isn't a fan of big, loud signals. He didn't want a kick or a tap from the crop. He just wanted a consistent, encouraging hug from my calves. Because I tend to be a more forward rider myself, the instructors usually put me at the front of the train of lesson horses to act as the engine. That was a workout. Trying to keep a horse who loves to nap at the front of the line of horses who just want to follow each other was a constant game of stimulation. But once we got moving, Rain was a dream for my form. He has this heavy, rhythmic trot that was perfect for training my sitting trot and really finding my post. But his canter, that was a highlight. It felt like a rocking horse. It was so steady and predictable that it allowed me to finally stop overthinking and just let my hips follow the motion. We didn't have any steering drama or lead issues. Rain just showed up, did his job, and helped me find my own rhythm. Number 3. Then there was Military. And honestly, the name fits her perfectly. She had an incredible work ethic. Total soldier. She just put in the work, and you never had to ask her twice. Military was so dialed in that she'd actually listen to the instructor's voice commands. If the instructor called for a trot, Military was already transitioning before I even closed my legs. She was incredible at compensating for students. But she also taught me one of the most zen lessons I've ever learned so far. I had been studying riding off the saddle, watching videos about engaging your core and using your breath. I decided to test it out with her. We were in a full canter, and instead of pulling on the reins, I just focused on a deep, intentional exhale and engaged my core, and I actually saw her ears swivel back to listen to my breath. She felt my seat change just through that one exhale, and she melted into a perfect, smooth downward transition. It was the first time I felt like we were truly speaking the same language. However, because she was so forward and helpful, she did let me get away with some beginner mistakes. In the early days, I was really just going along for the ride. I didn't know how to steer horses' shoulders yet, so we would cut every single corner. Military was happy to pick up my slack, but she eventually taught me that being a passenger is fun, but being a partner is better. Number 4. Next on the list is Rudy. If you could turn a teddy bear into a horse, it would be him. He has the softest coat I've ever felt and a face that is pure sweetness. He has a spiky zebra-like mane that makes him stand out in the arena. Personality-wise, Rudy is very timid and cold. He didn't need excessive stimulation, but he wasn't exactly volunteering for a gallop either. He was just balanced. In fact, he was so balanced that he gave me one of my biggest milestones without me even realizing it. We were in a lesson where they just kept raising the bar on the jumps. Rudy was so smooth and seamless, I didn't even notice the height change. It wasn't until the end of the lesson that I found out we had just cleared a full meter. I was stunned. It felt like a breeze because Rudy just stayed so steady. But Rudy had one major quirk: the canter leads. Picking up the correct lead was a real pain point with him. If you weren't 100% clear and intentional with your cue, he'd pick up the wrong lead every time. But once Rudy picked up a lead, he was staying on it. He wasn't the type to swap mid-course. He taught me that if I want the right result, I have to be clear from the very first stride. Number 5. Then we have Prince. Now, I'll be honest, in the beginning, I really dreaded riding him. Between his small size and his tight saddle, which felt like a real pinch, I felt like I was constantly popping out of the seat if my form wasn't perfect. But a funny thing happened. As I kept getting paired with him in lessons, I was forced to adjust. I learned how to sit properly, how to find my center, and suddenly that pinch of a saddle became my favorite. I felt rooted and secure and completely connected to him. His gait was another story. Initially, it felt like all 4 legs were moving at the exact same time. Just a short, quick rhythm that was hard to catch, especially when we had to keep up with the bigger horses in the class. But once I learned how to fully follow the canter with my hips, everything clicked. That short, fast-paced canter became a breeze. Prince didn't compensate for me, he required me to be a pilot. He didn't just give me a ride, he gave me my seat. Number 6, then we have Lauda, the class clown. When I first saw him, I thought I had stepped into a high-level dressage arena. He had this stunning, shiny coat, a full, beautiful tail, and a way of moving where it looked like all 4 of his feet were operating on their own autonomous rhythm. He looked the part of a professional. And his canter, pure silk. But as I spent more time with him, I realized the diva was actually just a goofball. Lauda is a sensitive soul. He could get nervous easily and was prone to the occasional spook at something only he could see. And much like Rudy, he had a real talent for picking up the wrong canter lead just when you thought you had him set. But the biggest lesson Lauda taught me was about steering. Before Lauda, I thought steering was all in the hands. With him, I'd turn his head to the left and his shoulders would just keep running straight, like a shopping cart with a bad wheel. It was a nightmare until I realized I wasn't actually steering the horse, I was just steering his nose. Lauda was the one who finally taught me how to use my legs to guide the shoulders. Number 7, then we have Z. If some of these horses are a puzzle to solve, Z is the solution. She's an older girl and just pleasant. She's forward enough that you don't feel like you're nagging her, but mild enough that she never feels like she's running away with you. Z was a reset horse. Whenever I had a rough week or was overthinking my cues, having a lesson with Z felt like a breath of fresh air. She doesn't have many quirks or extra drama like some of the young horses. She just knows her job and does it well. She's the horse that lets you catch your breath and just enjoy the movement. She reminds you of why you loved the sport in the first place. Number 8. And then there was Highness. She's a retired show jumper, an elite athlete, and honestly, it's an honor just to have been allowed in her saddle. But my first class with her left me feeling completely broken. See, I was used to lesson horses that measure the distance for you. They see the jump, they adjust their stride, they help you out. Not Highness. She did exactly and only what I told her to do. If I said, go to the jump, but didn't tell her when to take off, we'd jump long, short, or just plain sloppy. I felt the pressure of her legacy, and I felt like I was underperforming. But then, while I was cooling her down after a tough lesson, it hit me. She's just like Dragon. I remembered my breakthrough in the clinic and realized this wasn't a setback. It was the biggest opportunity of my journey. I went all in. I started riding her bareback to force myself to refine every single cue. Without a saddle, I could feel every hoofbeat. I could finally apply everything I'd been studying, shaping her bend, controlling the rhythm, and deciding exactly where to depart for the jump. The payoff? It was glorious. On my last day with her, we cleared over a meter, bareback. The demand she placed on me to rise to her level was exactly what I needed. Highness didn't just teach me how to jump. She taught me how to be a horseman. Number 9. Finally, we have Red. I call him the Ferrari. And the first time I sat on him, I was bursting with excitement. I've always loved riding new horses, and I was thrilled to be the first student to ride the new horse at the stables. But the second I felt how responsive and forward Red was, I knew this was different. Now, full disclosure, on our first canter together, it probably looked like a total train wreck, but he's young, eager to learn, and honestly, I see him like a little boy in a classroom, constantly raising his hand, offering answers to questions, ready to go, go, go. He was the first horse I truly called my partner. We are like-minded. There's no nagging or heavy stimulation with Red, we just click. It wasn't until I watched my footage back that I realized how much he was picking up the slack for me. If I put him on the wrong lead out of a jump, he'd just throw all 4 legs forward and swap over midair, smooth as butter. I never even felt it in the saddle, he was just taking care of me. And I trusted him, so much so that he became the horse that helped me realize a dream, riding bareback. I used to think that it was taboo to even ask to ride bareback at my stables, but with Red, I couldn't hold back. We started with a bareback cool down, and I was hooked. By our second bareback lesson, we were jumping. I can't say enough good things about this horse. He wasn't just a lesson horse to me, he is my heart horse 100%. From the honest auditor who broke me down to the Ferrari who built me back up, every single one of these horses had a piece of the puzzle I needed to become the rider I am today. But now I want to hear from you. Which of these horse personalities reminded you of a horse you've ridden? Do you have a Red in your life, or are you constantly working through highness phase? Drop a comment below with the name of the horse you're most curious about, and tell me, which one do you want a full deep dive breakdown of first? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow for the rest of my journey in the saddle. Thanks for riding along with me, and I'll see you in the next lesson.